And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. Wow, that's pretty strong, isn't it? They did evil, and then the Lord delivered them into the hand of the enemy for 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains, and caves, and strongholds. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them. And they encamped against them and destroyed their increase of the earth, till they come unto Gaza and left no substance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude, for both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt, and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am the Lord your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell, but you have not obeyed my voice. I'm going to use something crazy for a title today, okay? I'm going to use this. Preaching to the veterans. I'm going to preach to the veterans today. God bless you. You may be seated. Praise God. First of all, does anybody know what a veteran is? I'm going to try to turn this off here. Here's the dictionary's version of a veteran. Here's what it says. It's one who is much experienced in any service.
Wow.
One who is much experienced in any service. Washing dishes, cleaning house. Come on. Doing laundry.
Amen.
Bookkeeping. Mechanical work. Plumbers. Electricians. Counseling. Cooking. Truck driving. Managing a department. Supervisor. One who is much experienced in any service. Number 2. A former member of the armed services. Number 3. Having had long experience or practice in old service. One who has had long experience or practice in old service or services. On Friday, April the 3rd, 2004, the news came of another soldier killed in action in the Middle East. I don't know about you, but it always touches me when we have a member of armed service killed in action. When I think about their families and friends that's left behind to deal with the loss, it always touches me. But there was something special about this young man. His name was Pat Tillman. Some of you may remember that. He had everything that a young man could want. He was drafted into the NFL by the Arizona Cardinals. Tillman broke the franchise record for tackles in the year of 2000 with 224. He was at the top of his game. His $3.6 million contract was never more secure. The Super Bowl champions, the St. Louis Rams, were already after him with an offer of 3 times more than what he was making. But after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, a higher cause gripped his heart. And in May of 2002, he walked away from the NFL and joined the Army as an Army Ranger, making $18,000 a year. Which he said, it's not about the money. In fact, he didn't even want any publicity about it. He shunned all interviews and told his friends, I want to give back to my country. And 2 years later, Tillman was killed about 25 miles from a U.S. military base in Afghanistan. At his funeral, his friends and fellow NFL buddies said a lot of good things about him. But his agent said something that probably was more important than anything else. He said they talk a lot about, in the NFL, about impact players. Well, he said Pat was an impact player in everything. He left his mark on those who knew him. I want to make a statement to you today. Veterans come in all sizes and from all kinds of backgrounds. In fact, the Bible calls them heroes of faith in Hebrews chapter 11, and names Abel, Noah, Enoch, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Moses' parents, Rahab the harlot, Samson, Samuel, Barak, and Gideon. And then the Bible speaks of the sacrifices they made. It said they were tortured, they were beaten, put in prison, stoned, killed with swords. They had to live in caves and dens and deserts. And all of these ended up with a good report because they held on and kept the faith and did not falter. And Hebrews chapter 12 and 1 is to all of us who are suffering and those who have accepted the challenge of becoming a Christian. It says, wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses or veterans. Come on. Look at them or observe them. He's saying, I've listed them for you to look at, to build your faith in times of weakness. Wow. When things are not going right in your life, look at the veterans. Look at the heroes of faith. When every weight and sin comes against you and tries to easily beset you, why do you need to look at them? Because those good soldiers, those good veterans, they made it and you can make it too. Would you say amen? Amen. Today I want us to look at a guy who at first glance doesn't look much like a hero. In fact, he wasn't impressive at all. But let me say this. Did you know that tough times can turn somebody who's impressive, who is not impressive, into somebody who becomes a hero? Have you thought about that? What was there about different ones in the Bible that at first they wasn't impressive, was it? But God turned them into heroes. It takes tough times to get our attention and get us going sometimes, doesn't it? It takes some tough situations to make us what God wants us to become. We're not even impressive. You know, there's nothing good seems to be going for us. How many times have we seen God save a sinner and then make a fantastic preacher out of him or an evangelist? How many times have we seen God take somebody that seems to be a nobody and make a great singer or make something great for Him to use for His glory? How many times have we seen that? When you look at Judges chapter 6, you see the nation of Israel living in a time of ease at first. Everything is good. Wow. Isn't it amazing how in our own lives things can be going so good, and those are the times that we decide that we don't need God? Huh? Those are the times where, well, you know, bills are all paid, and nobody has any sickness or disease in the family right now. The kids are not sick with colds or flus, and the car has gas, and and the motor's running good, the tires have plenty of tread on them, and there's food in the refrigerator and even more food in the pantry. We've even got money in the bank. Wow. Things are going good. Right? Well, I don't want for anything. And just as it happens to all of us, Israel forgot God. How can you forget God when things are going good? You know. You know better than anybody that we can forget God when things are going good. Y'all, let me ask you this. Some of you veterans, you've been in church for a long time. And you know how it is when things start going good in your life, you decide that, well, I don't really have to read my Bible as much as I did. I don't have to pray as much as I don't have to even go to church as much as I did. I don't have to pay my tithes because, well, everything's going good in my life and I really don't need anything else. Come on. But you know what God had to do? They got so eased in their position that God had to shake things up by allowing the enemy to rise up against them. Can I say this? God is not pleased with us taking our ease. Come on now. When it comes to Him, God, He wants to bless us. He wants to take care. But don't forget where your blessings come from. That's good, ain't it?
Yes.
God had to shake things up for Israel just to show them how hard life can be without Him.
Right.
Verse 1 says, the Israelites were doing what was evil in the sight of the Lord, so God just handed them over to the Midianites for 7 years. Think about it. 7 years. Handed them over to the enemy for 7 years. Sometimes it takes a whole lot for people to grow up.
That's true.
Sometimes it takes a whole lot of trouble for God to get our attention.
Amen.
For some, it takes 2 years in the military. It takes 2 years in God's training. For some, it takes about 1 year of marriage. For some, they're stubborn and it takes 7 years. Come on now. You need to know that Israel's enemy was strong. They were powerful. And they oppressed these Israelites. Every year at harvest time, these Midianites would invade Israel and take their crops. Chapter 6, verse 5 says they would come with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. So the Bible says it was so bad that the Israelites left their homes to live in caves and strongholds, fearing for their lives. That'll make a fighter out of you, won't it? Come on. 7 years this went on. Think about it. 7 years. Everybody say, but finally.
But fine.
But finally, Israel cried out to the Lord for help. Why in the world did it take them so long to turn to the Lord? Because they were just like us.
Amen.
They waited until every possible option of hope without calling on God played out. They tried everything for 7 years for it to work without calling on God. You know us. If all fails, read the instructions. When all fails, turn to the instructions. When everything else fails in your life, turn to God. Wow. That's good preaching, isn't it? But ain't it the truth?
Amen.
We want to try everything else. We go to the bank and we try to borrow money, then we can't pay it back. We say, God, what am I going to do? We finally turn to God. God said, you got yourself into this mess, now get yourself. No, you don't. That's what we expect Him to say, but God doesn't say that. God is merciful. Look at your neighbor and say, God is merciful.
God is merciful.
Listen, how many times have hard circumstances come to us, and we never stop to trust God or to say, Lord, help me. We try to work it out ourselves. We plan and scheme. Y'all, I think we're so kin to Jacob that it's not even funny. Jacob, that trickster, that man, he was always trying to do something to scheme and plan and work around the plan of God. He even had several encounters with God, and he still wouldn't turn to the Lord. He's still trying to scheme and plan and get by. And we're just like him. We're just like Jacob, the trickster. Never, I think this verse in the Bible in 2 Timothy 3:7 is just for us. Never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Never able to come to the knowledge of truth. And 2 Timothy 3:8 says, just like James and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds, reprobates concerning the faith. How much of the enemy stuff are you going to take before you become a veteran? How much of that enemy's tricks and stuff are you going to take before you finally say, God, I'm sick of it. I'm going to grow up. I'm going to be the veteran of God that I should be. I think it's about time for my little song. I didn't write it, but I wish I had. Sometimes it takes a mountain. Woo. Sometimes a troubled sea. Sometimes it takes a desert to get a hold of me. Ooh, Lord have mercy. That's what it takes sometimes. When are we going to grow up and just realize, God, I need you. I need to turn this to you. Instead, we're scheming, we're trying, we're working this out, and we're robbing this one to paint. Come on. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? Y'all don't ever have these problems. This is just me, right?
No.
Y'all don't ever... honey, the car seems to be out of gas. Do you have $2? Do you have $3? I can get the car seems to be out of gas. Yeah, if you'll go look in that can, and I've been collecting pennies. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Why don't we just, we try to work it all out with God, Lord, I need you to do this for me. I need you to help me, Lord. When really we want to hold back. We really want to hold back our lives and say, well, God, I know that you can give it to me. But if you give it to me, then I'm indebted to you, and I don't want to be indebted to you. Why not? You'd rather be indebted to the bank? I know. Here it is. I owe my soul to the company store. Huh? Come on now, just preach it. Why don't we become veterans and say, God, you're the God that blessed me with everything I've got, and I need your blessings again because I got myself in trouble, and I'm a veteran here, Lord, and I know how to pray. So I'm getting on my knees and I'm praying right now, and I'm asking you, God, to help me because I need your help. We get ourselves in the midst of 7 years, they wouldn't even ask God for help. I'll just tough it out. I'm Mr. Tough Guy. I can tough it out here. They had to leave their homes and hide in caves and dens. When God was wanting to bless them, all they had to do is say, God, forgive us. God, forgive me of my selfishness and trusting in all the ways that are not your ways. It took them 7 years. Every experience in life is a test. Every trial that you have is tailored by God to draw you closer to Him. Boy, that's good preaching. When tough times come, instead of looking at it as God is punishing you, try to see that it's God's gift of grace to save you. God longs to be at the center of your life. Amen. Do you know that people of the church, pastors, saints, and teachers can be veterans of the church and still not have God as the center of their life?
That's true.
Come on. But that doesn't stop God from wanting to be the center of your life.
Amen.
Boy, that's good, isn't it? Amen. God is always working on me.
Yes.
Y'all, let me just tell you, I hope you've arrived because I hadn't arrived yet. I still try to do things on my own. Come on.
Yes.
And God wants me to trust in Him. I don't know if y'all do this or not, but I see things all the time that start causing me to pray.
Yes.
Funerals make me pray more. If I'm preaching a funeral, I pray more because, preaching funerals is not easy. There's people that are grieving. There are people that are going through troublesome times. And I feel for them. My soul feels for them. And so I pray more for them. And I pray, God, give me the words to say to them. Sick people make me pray more. Amen? Their condition causes me to pray more. Hurting people make me pray more. People who lack food and money and housing make me pray more. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I pray for these people because these things bother me. Maybe because you're not a pastor, none of that bothers you, but it bothers me, and I feel like I need to pray more. See, I'm not perfect, but I feel like this is God drawing me closer to Him, and I need to be closer to Him. Yesterday, I was coming back from helping Brother Scott and Sister Ruth, and thank you for that help yesterday, and I appreciate it. I know everybody was busy and it was short notice, but thank you for that help. I really appreciate that, and I know they appreciate it. We went back and mowed their yard for them, and coming back, this road back had the road completely blocked, and I thought, well, somebody's had a wreck or something, and I said, well, Lord, I pray for whoever's involved in that wreck. And just about two minutes, we sat there. Traffic was blocked in both directions because this road back was turned long ways in the shortness of the road and backed right up to a car, and they loaded the car up. And then he pulled out and he come toward me. And I could see there was a couple of people in that truck, and then there was a couple of people in the truck behind him, and they were laughing, and I thought, well, that wasn't what I thought. And then when I got past them to where the driveway was, there was about 5 or 6 people standing out there. And a young boy about, I don't know, maybe he was 18 or 19, was standing there crying. And then I guessed what had happened, that his car had just been repossessed. So I prayed for him. I didn't get out to pray for him, but I prayed for him because things like that cause me to pray. And I could say, Lord, this is you. Somebody's hurting right now, and they need you. This is you wanting me to draw closer to you, causing me to pray for their situation. So I prayed for, I don't know who he was, but I prayed, God, help him and encourage him. And Lord, don't let a weed of bitterness grow up in his life, but Lord, draw him close to you with this. Somehow, Lord, use this to draw him to you. C.S. Lewis said this, God whispers to us in our pleasures. He speaks in our conscience, but he shouts in our pain. It's his megaphone to rouse a deaf ear. God uses pain in our life and situations in our life where He is hollering at us, speaking to us, wanting us to draw close. Wonder how many times He hollered at the children of Israel, please turn to me. I'm trying everything to get you to turn to me. I wonder if He's doing that in our lives right now. Hey, would you turn to me? This is happening in your life simply because you won't give it up and turn completely to me. I want you. I desire a relationship with you. I can do great things in your life. I can help you through all of your situations. I can help you in your sickness and your circumstances if you'll just turn to me.
Amen.
Instead, it takes us time after time, year after year, sometimes even up to 7 years, God has to deal with us and plead with us because He's wanting that relationship with us. And we reject Him and we keep turning away from Him. I hope you know this, but the wonderful thing about God is even when we're slow in returning to Him, He is never slow in responding to us. Verses 7 and 8 show us that when we cry out to God, He moves and He begins to work behind the scenes. But the fact is, God always seems to work in ways that we can't believe. His plan to save Israel included the most unlikely man by the name of Gideon. We meet him in Judges 6 and 11. He's threshing wheat in a wine press. That's crazy, isn't it? There's a whole lot of difference, y'all. A threshing floor was usually in a windy place where you could pick the wheat up.
Yes.
You crush it, and then the chaff is blown away in a windy place. It's above. It's maybe up on it like a little hill. And a wine press is a vat. It's in a low place. There's maybe grates over it, and the juice runs through and down into it. But here is Gideon threshing wheat in a wine press to keep the Midianites from seeing him. He knows. He's been through things before. They've stole my wheat before. They've stole what I've been trying to live on before. And I'm not about to let them see me and steal my food again. He's hiding in an underground wine press. And it was then that the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor." I can see Gideon looking around to see who in the world the angel's talking to, because it sure ain't him. What do you mean, mighty? I'm down here hiding. I'm trying to get away from these Midianites. I'm trying to get some food for my family. And I'm down here in hiding, and you said, "The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor." The fact is, God sees more than we do. What God says now may be what is going to happen in the future, not right this second. What God says now could be future tense. You are going to be a mighty man of valor, although He speaks it now. God says you are going to be this and you are going to be that. You think right now, well, it hadn't happened. Look at my situation. See, all we can see is right now, but God sees the whole picture. Come on now. God says you are going to get that new home. God says you are going to get that new car. God says I am going to bless you. And you are going to be a missionary. You are going to this. You're going to be a singer. You're going to be a preacher. You're going to be... Well, I sure don't look like it. I'm in jail now. Or look at me. I'm going through the worst time in my life. I don't even know I don't even know how I'm going to eat tomorrow. Come on. And God's looking at you and saying, "You mighty strong warrior. You mighty powerful man, woman of God. You mighty powerful. You're a strong warrior." God's looking at. He's talking future tense, and all we can say, "You're gonna be." He's the God of Isaac, Jacob. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. How can God be my God when I'm a trickster? How can God be what He says He's going to be to me when I ain't ever done anything good for Him? Because God sees future things. Come on now. God is patient with our faith, y'all. You understand that? God is patient with our faith process. Sometimes we don't trust God. And He's always building faith in us. And He starts little and gets big. He says, if we're faithful to Him in little things, He'll make us ruler over bigger things, right?
Yes.
Amen. So we got to start small. And here's Gideon, and all he can say was, "I'm down here hiding." You surely don't, that angel, you don't even know what you're talking about. Y'all, let me tell you, one of the biggest lies that we can tell ourselves is God only uses special people. Everybody look at your neighbor and say, "You're special."
You're special.
I just wanted to tell you that just in case you come up with that. God only uses special people. Well, you're special. Amen. Listen to me. If you are born again, you have been chosen by God. You are His masterpiece. You are adopted into the family. You are free from condemnation, and your citizenship is in heaven. God knows who you are and what you're capable of doing. But I'll go a step further than that. If you're as lost as you can be and you're a sinner, God still knows you, and He's looking at you, and He knows what you're capable of doing.
Amen.
You may be running in the wrong direction right now, but God can turn you around. Might take 7 years. Might take 7 years for Him to get you turned around, but He's going to get you turned around. Y'all agree? I don't know. I'm never going to get done. The reason I can relate to this 7, because it took me 7 years to turn around after God called me to preach. No! No way! I'm not doing it. 7 years. Man, I can really relate to this, y'all. 6 is God's perfect number, and I went beyond that to 7, which is man's number.
That's true.
Come on. And I had to go through all kinds of situations and drag my wife through all kinds of situations because I wouldn't preach when God had called me to preach. No, Lord, I'm not doing it. Because God, I've got a reason. I had 4 brothers that was preachers, and they all backslid. And my dad was a preacher, and he backslid. And I'm not going to. So I'm not going to preach. I got a reason. You can hang on to your reasons all you want to. But if God has chosen you, it might take you 7 years to turn around. It might take you 8. It might take you 10. But finally you're going to come and say, Lord have mercy. Why in the world was I resisting against that?
Yes.
Y'all, let me tell you, preaching's not easy, just in case you need to know. It's work. You say, well, goodness gracious, how can it be work? Just get up on Sunday morning, study a little bit, and study a little bit on Wednesday night, and you got it made. Okay. Go ahead and believe that. No problem. But when you become a preacher, I'd like to say, all you got to do is just study a little bit on Wednesday, a little bit on Sunday. You know, veterans are not veterans when they go in the military. They're veterans when they come out.
Yes.
You're not a veteran just because you make a start for God. You're a veteran when you come through. You're a veteran when you go through some storms in your life. You're a veteran when you get some seasoned trials and situations that you know that God brought you through. You look back and say, woo, thank you, Jesus. You brought me through that, and I know you can take me through the next one. But the devil's lying to you, and you say, yeah, but ain't nobody ever been through this before. He's a liar. There's all kinds of situations that arise in our life, but somebody has gone through it before. And you just need to look in the heroes of faith here and realize that they suffered greater things than we ever thought about suffering, and they made it, and you can too. They became veterans because of what they went through. They suffered some great things, and they were veterans. They were great saints of God. And he said, next time you're going through some situations, look at these heroes of faith, what they went through. We say, I don't know, I don't think I can make it. Yes, you can. You can make it because they made it. Look at them. God sees what Gideon's going through, the faith process, and Gideon is struggling with doubts, and he knows that God has promised to save Israel through him, but he's not convinced. That sounds like us, isn't it? God tells us this is going to happen in our life, and we're not convinced of it. So, okay, God, if this is really you, this is really you, Lord. Call somebody to come to the door with a $100 bill in their hand and say, God told me to bring this to you. Come on, don't we do stuff like that? Okay, God, here it is. If this is really you, and then we come up with some kind of idea, crazy. But didn't Gideon do that? Maybe we get it from him. We got this fleece. Gideon says, Lord, I'm going to put this piece of wool on the threshing floor. If the dew in the morning is only on the wool and all around it is dry, then I'll know it's you. The next morning the wool was wet, the ground was dry. God is developing Gideon step by step. He's building his faith little by little. Then Gideon, still not sure. God knew. God knew in advance.